All right, welcome back to Finger Lakes. Today it is time for sports, brought to you by Cicino's Pizzeria, Waterloo Tire, and Geneva. We've got Paul Russo, Jim Sinacropi here in studio with us. Busy weekend for high school sports, that's for certain. High school sectional basketball underway.
Yeah, well underway.
Underway.
I believe there's only really, truly be fair, the 2 rounds left in it. But quarterfinal action getting wrapped up Friday and Saturday night. Self and Nate, we were over in South Seneca, hosted Wheatland Chilai. Wildcats came out victorious over the Falcons there, but great to get down there this year. Good little team down there. Going to be exciting to kind of see in the next couple of years here what unfolds down in Ovid. But a couple games to touch on Friday night as well. Lions beat CG Finney to advance to the semifinals in boys C3. Jacob Sides and J.C. Walker led the way for the Lions with 27 and 26 apiece. Do have to mention for CG Finney, Nick Pasquantonio, 22. Had to mention that name. Had to get it out there.
Quite a name.
I know.
Quite a name.
It's a nice name.
But on the B1 girls side Friday night, Midlakes upset Aquinas. So, exciting
Midlakes.
stuff.
Yeah. They were disappointing early, and now they're turning into the team that we kind of thought they would, and now they're going to give Waterloo a game in the semis.
Yeah. Grace Murphy had 18, Saldo Pop at 16. We'll circle back to that, though, in a second here, because Saturday, number of games, including back at it, me and Nate again, up in Palmac. The Red Raiders losing to the Waterloo Tigers, 6 versus 3 seed in the boys' quarterfinal, 37-34. Devin Mulvey Salerno had 16 for the Tigers, Ian Goodness 15 for Palmac, but Devin had a big three.
Huge three late.
In the final moments of the game, hand in the face, and nothing but net, piered it.
It's another example of a team that was hot out of the gates and then looked like they were done, and now all of a sudden they find themselves in the semis after beating the second place team in the Finger Lakes East, right? Palmac?
Yep.
Yeah. In a traditional Palmac game in the 30s.
Yeah. It was a defensive battle, to say the least. Both teams kind of went their traditional routes, if you will. Palmac threw each possession had some sort of different form of whether it was half court or full court defense. Waterloo primarily started in half court, went to full court when they needed to, but active hands, and it's what they needed to do. Came away victorious and lived to fight another day, which would be Wednesday. So
Rough end of Ian Goodness's basketball career.
Yeah.
I had to be a little shocked, I think,
Right.
to see it end in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were a bit stunned on the Palmac side of things. You split the season series and the regular season, one each, but
Yep.
the game that they won, which was the second game back second half of the year, was pretty much in dominating fashion. So I think they kind of maybe expected a little bit of the same, but quite the opposite ended up happening.
Well, Waterloo, we know, has the talent to beat anybody, so they put it together. Obviously played a good defensive game. It's hard to say that they were clicking on all cylinders when they scored 37 points,
Right.
but they got the win.
Yeah. At semi the same time over in Newark, the Reds were hosting Geneva in the other B1 game. Newark victorious there, 43-36. Anthony Torres had 15 for Geneva. Kellen Foster had 15, and Rayshawn Howard 13 for Newark, leading the way for them. So they'll meet Waterloo Wednesday night in the semifinals for B1.
It's hard to believe the scores of these Finger Lakes East boys teams, 30s and 40s.
Yeah. So another game to mention from Saturday, the C1 girls quarterfinal. Bloomfield, the 6th seed, upsetting the 3 seed Gananda Blue Panthers in overtime, 63-54. So the Bombers advancing to, I believe it's tomorrow night semifinals for them in C2.
Yeah,
C1.
we've kind of overlooked the Finger Lakes West girls teams, I think, this year. It's kind of playing itself out here in sectionals. Gananda was kind of the darling team of the last several weeks and now their season ends, and Bloomfield, who's really been solid all season long, is finally, I think we got to pay closer attention to the Bombers.
Yeah. So let's look ahead, give a week outlook of what we got going on for ourselves. And
Best week of the year as far as high school. I mean, it's amazing. You got semifinal games and then championship games.
my last couple of days of February fever before it turns into March Madness.
Yep.
But tonight we'll be over in Honeyway Falls, Lima for the B2 girls semifinal game between the 2nd seed Miners Canby Blue Devils and 3 seed Hornell Red Raiders. It's at 6 p.m. Myself and Nate will be there for that game. we're looking forward to that game. Hornell, actually, although they didn't play Minders this year, does have a couple common opponents with the Blue Devils in Waterloo and Aquinas throughout the year. Both match up numerically really well. And the winner of that game will on the face the winner of Dansville and Wellsville, who plays after. So Minders holding strong for pretty much everybody outside of the
Nice.
what is it? What is it down that way? Steuben County or Livingston County?
Hornell?
So
Steuben.
No,
Steuben.
Oh.
yeah, but I think they're in like Livingston League, but
Wellsville's independent.
Yeah.
Independent.
So
And they are a long way away.
yeah, they're pretty much in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good game. A couple other games tonight: Canandaigua in the A girls semifinals, and then Lions boys in the C3 boys semifinals as well. Tomorrow night, looking forward to this one because Jim, you and Nate will be over in Canandaigua for the B1 girls semifinal doubleheader. Palmac up first. They take on Livonia, the 2-3 seed matchup. That's a scheduled tip of 6 p.m. The first seed, Waterloo Tigers, take on Mid Lakes, the 5 seed. That one's scheduled for 7:45. Probably going to be closer to 8 by the time the first game gets done. But doubleheader action on Canandaigua's new court.
Yeah,
So
brand
that'll be
new.
fun, yeah.
I mean, have they played a game on there since they opened?
They
Yeah.
had 2 of them, I think.
2 games. So brand new court should be fantastic. And there's nothing like these semifinal doubleheader nights, especially when you have multiple teams that we cover from the Wayne Finger Lakes in the same gym, because there's a potential that if we know that Waterloo Mid Lakes is going to send someone to the finals.
Right.
So if on the other side,
Palmac.
if they were to win, then we'd have an all Finger Lakes East
Yeah.
final, which is always exciting.
Yeah. But good to know, though, at least we will have, one team represented Friday night.
Yep.
And Rush Henrietta for the girls' finals there. It's a loaded slate tomorrow. We'll touch fully on that. And then Wednesday, go further down the line. Myself and Nate back in Bloomfield for the B1 boys semifinals between number 2 Newark and number 6 Waterloo. Again, second game of a doubleheader on that court. Scheduled tip of 7:45. Probably will be a little bit later than that, but we'll be live courtside from the Bomber Barn for that.
That has become a pretty big rivalry in recent years. It was just 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, that Newark and Waterloo played in a semifinal game that may have went to overtime, but it was Waterloo was successful, and they went on to lose to Geneva at the Blue Cross Arena that year. So that the B1 being so Finger Lakes East heavy, it's lends to a lot of these postseason matchups between common friendly opponents that have become pretty intense rivalries over the years. So like if Waterloo is to deny Newark a chance again, I mean, to get to a sectional final, that's where rivalries are born out of.
Yeah.
And we know that those teams don't like each other. We've seen it in the regular
do not
season.
like each other.
So should be interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, other games there as well, but we'll touch on that in the coming days. But full slate, all on the line. One game left to prove yourself, either if you're going to Blue Cross Arena for the boys or Rush Henrietta for the girls. So
Survive and advance, and that's the big thing on the boys' side too. Is like everybody wants to play in the Big House. They want to play in the Blue Cross, so you get there to that one game away, and it's almost as big as a sectional final. You're not going to win the sectional final if you win the semifinal, but you go to the Blue Cross. You get to play on that court, and for a lot of high school basketball players, that's a dream that they've always had, and you have limited opportunities to do it. So for these Waterloo seniors, most of them weren't around last time they were there when they lost to Geneva. So, when's the last time Newark's been to the Blue Cross?
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, probably when they lost to Minders, maybe in the finals. But chance to get to the Big House.
Yeah. I think focus is a good point though, because you as much as you want to look further down the line, you just got to take care of what's in front of you.
Right.
It's always for me, it's always my biggest keys to the game this time of year. Is as much as you want to look forward and you want to plan for what's ahead, you can't, because you have to take care. It's one game, and
Well, that's why I think that forces you to get in that mindset when you're in these semifinals on the boys' side, at least, because you're playing to get to the Blue Cross.
Right.
So you're not really looking ahead to what would happen when you get to the Blue Cross in terms of winning a sectional title. I think they're focused on, we win tonight, we go to the Blue Cross Arena,
right.
for a championship game. So
All right, let's pivot more back.